I still can't process what happened. One day I'm planning my dream wedding with the man I thought I'd spend my life with. The next I'm standing outside our apartment with strangers telling me they live there now. No warning, no explanation, just complete abandonment. 3 years of love, of building a life together, vanished because I made one mistake during a stressful time at work. And the worst part? He turned my own mother against me with lies and manipulated evidence. My therapist says I have unresolved trauma from the emotional terrorism Michael put me through. She's right. It's been 2 years, and I still have nightmares about that day. Standing in the hallway with my luggage from Barbados, key not working, calling his disconnected number over and over like maybe the 15th time would magically connect. Everyone thinks they know my story because of what Michael told them. Poor, innocent Michael, who was betrayed by his evil fiancé. But they don't know the truth about how suffocating he was, how his neediness drove me to seek comfort elsewhere, or how he orchestrated the cruelest revenge imaginable, including seducing my own mother. Let me tell you what really happened. Michael and I met at a college party our senior year. I'd just gotten over a bad breakup with Derek, my high school sweetheart who'd cheated with 3 different girls. I was at the party to have fun, not meet anyone. I wore my favorite dress, the one that showed off my figure, the one that made me feel confident again after months of questioning my worth. I noticed Michael watching me from across the room. He was standing with a group of finance bros, but while they were loudly debating stocks or crypto or whatever, he was just staring. Not in a creepy way, but in an awestruck way, like he couldn't believe I was real. My friend Emma nudged me. "That guy's been staring at you all night." "The one in the ill-fitting button-down?" I laughed. He wasn't my type at all. I usually went for the obvious alphas. Tall, built, confident. Michael was average height, soft around the middle, and looked like he'd rather die than approach me. But there was something endearing about his obvious interest. When I smiled at him, he literally blushed and looked away. It was cute. After Derek's smooth-talking bullshit, Michael's transparency was refreshing. I ended up approaching him. "Hi, I'm Sarah." I know, I'm Michael. We have advanced corporate law together." I didn't remember him from class, but I pretended I did. We talked all night, or rather I talked and he hung on every word like I was dispensing wisdom from on high. By the end of the night, he'd offered to walk me home, gotten my number, and texted me 3 times before I even got to bed. "Thank you for tonight. You're amazing. Can't wait to see you again." It was intense, maybe too intense, but after Derek's games, Michael's openness felt safe. Our first real date, he took me to this expensive French restaurant. He'd clearly researched everything. My favorite wine was waiting. He'd pre-ordered dessert because he'd stalked my Instagram and seen I loved chocolate soufflé. It should have been creepy, but it felt thoughtful. No one had ever paid that much attention to my preferences. Within a month, he was introducing me as his girlfriend. Within 3 months, he was talking about our future, where we'd live after graduation, how many kids we'd have, what we'd name our dog. I'd laugh it off, but he was serious. Dead serious. "Don't you think we're moving a little fast?" I asked once. "When you know," he said, looking at me with those puppy dog eyes. "I knew you were the one the moment I saw you." The thing about pedestals is they're uncomfortable to stand on. Michael didn't love me. He loved his idea of me. The beautiful blonde who'd chosen him, who validated his worth to all those finance bros who probably made fun of him before. I was his trophy, proof that he was worthy of love. Our relationship became his entire personality. His social media transformed from boring finance memes to endless couple photos. He'd plan elaborate dates designed more for Instagram than actual enjoyment. Every milestone had to be celebrated publicly, performatively. Our friends thought it was sweet. "You're so lucky," they'd say. "He's obsessed with you." But obsession isn't love. Love sees flaws and accepts them. Obsession demands perfection and crumbles at the first crack in the facade. The sex was adequate. Michael was so concerned with my pleasure that it became performative. He'd study my body like there'd be a test, asking constantly if things felt good, if he should do something different. There was no passion, no spontaneity, just this clinical determination to be the best I'd ever had. He'd keep mental tallies of my orgasms like they were points in a game he was determined to win. Just relax, I'd tell him. Stop thinking so much. But he couldn't. Everything had to be perfect, because I was perfect, and perfect women deserved perfect lovers. The pressure was exhausting. Our friend groups merged because Michael made it happen. He organized every group trip, every dinner, every game night, always making sure I was comfortable, always checking if I was having fun. I became the center of his social universe, and everyone else just orbited around us. The travel was incredible, I'll give him that. Europe, Asia, adventure trips to places I'd only dreamed of. But even that felt performative. He'd research every restaurant, every photo opportunity, plan every moment. There was no spontaneity, no getting lost and finding hidden gems. Just Michael's perfectly curated experiences designed to make me happy. But here's what he never understood. I didn't need perfection. I needed authenticity. I needed a partner, not a worship service. After 2.5 years, he proposed at the same party where we met, with all our friends watching. The ring was enormous, way more than he could afford. I found out later he'd gone into debt for it, which was so typically Michael, grand gestures over practical decisions. I said yes because what else could I do? Humiliate him in front of everyone? Break the heart of this man who'd built his entire identity around being my fiancé? My hesitation lasted a split second, but I saw it register in his eyes. That flicker of doubt he'd spend the rest of our relationship trying to erase with increasingly desperate displays of affection. Then Brandon started at my firm. Brandon was tall, built like a former athlete, with this easy confidence that filled a room. He didn't try to impress anyone. He just was impressive. When he smiled at me during our first meeting, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Genuine attraction, not just appreciation for being desired. We were assigned to the Henderson contract together, late nights reviewing documents, strategy sessions over Chinese takeout, celebrating wins with drinks at the bar across from our building. He was brilliant, funny, and most importantly, he saw me as a colleague first, a woman second. "You're engaged, right?" he asked one night after our third martini. "Yeah, 3 years, getting married next summer." "He's a lucky guy." "Sometimes I think he loves the idea of me more than actually knowing me," I said, the alcohol loosening my tongue. "What do you mean?" "He thinks I'm perfect, puts me on this pedestal. Do you know how exhausting it is being someone's whole world? I can't have a bad day, can't be grumpy, can't be human without him thinking he's failed somehow." Brandon listened without judgment. When I was with him, I could complain about work, make inappropriate jokes, be imperfect. He'd tease me about my controlling tendencies, call me out when I was being difficult. It was refreshing. The first kiss happened after we won the Morrison case, months of work culminating in victory. We were alone in the conference room, high on adrenaline and champagne. He was showing me something on his phone, standing close enough that I could smell his cologne. Something expensive and subtle, not like Michael's aggressive Axe body spray he still hadn't grown out of. "We make a good team," he said. "The best," I agreed. Then he was kissing me and I was kissing back, and for the first time in years I felt alive. Not worshipped, not adored, just desired as a woman, not an ideal. The guilt was immediate and crushing. I went home that night and found Michael had prepared an elaborate dinner to celebrate my win. He'd been tracking the case, of course, monitoring my success like a helicopter parent. Candles, flowers, my favorite meal, a speech about how proud he was. "To the most amazing woman in the world," he toasted. I wanted to throw up. I tried to pull back from Brandon, but once you've tasted freedom, returning to a cage feels impossible. Michael noticed my distance immediately. His response was to become even more attentive, more needy, more suffocating. He'd text constantly throughout the day. Thinking of you. Can't wait to see you tonight. You're my everything. If I didn't respond quickly enough, the texts would multiply. Everything okay? Did I do something wrong? I love you so much. Date nights became interrogations disguised as concern. You seem distant. Is it work? Is it me? What can I do to make you happy? He'd plan increasingly elaborate weekends. Spa treatments, surprise trips, expensive gifts I didn't need or want. It was like he was trying to love me into loving him back. My mother noticed at Thanksgiving. She had this sixth sense about relationships, probably from dealing with my father's serial infidelity for 20 years, before finally divorcing him. She pulled me aside while Michael was outside talking to my dad about investment strategies. "Are you happy?" she asked simply. I broke down crying right there in her kitchen. Told her everything, the suffocation, Brandon, the guilt, the feeling of being trapped in a relationship with someone who loved an idealized version of me. "Oh, honey," she said, holding me while I sobbed. "You can't marry him out of pity. It'll destroy you both." "But he loves me so much," I protested. "That's not love, Sarah. That's dependency. And you'll grow to hate him for it." She was right, but I was too weak to end it. Too afraid of devastating Michael, of disappointing our families, of admitting failure. So I compartmentalized. I gave Michael the affection he craved while finding actual connection with Brandon. Brandon never pressured me to leave Michael. He understood my situation in a way that made me feel seen, not judged. "I'm here when you're ready," he'd say. "No pressure." With Brandon, I could be myself. I could be bitchy when work was stressful. I could be silly and immature. I could be sexual without the weight of someone's entire self-worth resting on my satisfaction. He'd call me out on my bullshit, challenge my opinions, treat me like an equal instead of a deity. The affair became my escape. When Michael would smother me with his needy love, I'd think about Brandon's easy confidence. When Michael would plan another Instagram-worthy date, I'd remember Brandon and I eating takeout in his car, laughing about office drama. When Michael would worship my body like a religious experience, I'd crave Brandon's passionate, selfish desire. Michael's work trip to the Midwest was a gift from the universe. 5 weeks of breathing room, of not managing his emotions, of not pretending to be the perfect fiancé. I told myself I'd use the time to figure things out, to make a decision. But when he came home weekends, he was different. Manic in his attention, desperately romantic in a way that felt forced. He'd plan elaborate dates, shower me with gifts, tell me constantly how much he loved me. He barely slept, just watched me with this intensity that made my skin crawl. One night, after a $500 dinner where he'd hired a violinist to play our song, I broke down crying. The guilt, the pressure, the wrongness of it all crashed over me. I wanted to confess everything, to finally be honest. "What's wrong, baby? Talk to me. Whatever it is, we can work through it. I love you so much. You're my everything." But looking at his face, so eager to forgive whatever I might say, so desperate to keep me, I couldn't do it. His love wasn't strong. It was weak. He'd forgive anything to keep me, and that disgusted me more than my cheating did. "I just love you so much," I lied, and he held me like I'd given him the greatest gift. The Barbados trip was Brandon's idea. His wife, oh yes, I forgot to mention he was married, but separated, basically divorced, was taking the kids to her mother's. We could have 2 weeks to figure out what we were without sneaking around. When Michael conveniently had to cancel, I felt nothing but relief. Finally, a chance to think clearly without his puppy dog eyes constantly seeking reassurance. He seemed oddly okay with it, even suggested I take a friend. I should have known something was wrong, but I was too excited about freedom to care. The trip was everything I needed. Brandon and I were perfect together, Passionate but not needy, affectionate but not suffocating. We could spend hours together without talking, comfortable in silence. We could have separate experiences without him texting constantly to check in. It was what a relationship should be. Coming home to find strangers in our apartment was surreal. My key didn't work. Some young couple answered, looking at me like I was crazy. "We just moved in 3 days ago," they said. My calls went straight to a disconnected message. Our friends knew nothing or claimed to know nothing. My things were gone, my life erased like I'd never existed. The man who claimed to love me so completely had disappeared without a word, leaving me homeless and humiliated. I went to Jessica's house first, hysterical. She let me in but seemed uncomfortable. "Sarah, everyone knows about Brandon. Michael told people before he left." The humiliation was complete. Not only had he abandoned me, he'd made sure everyone knew why. Poor Michael, betrayed by his cheating fiancé. No one wanted to hear my side, how his suffocating love had driven me away. They just saw the betrayal, not the slow suffocation that preceded it. The cruelest cut came from my mother. When I finally made it to her house after that nightmare drive, she was cold, distant, not the warm, understanding woman who'd held me at Thanksgiving. "He brought me your things," she said flatly. "Mom, I can explain." "He also brought evidence." She had a binder, a fucking binder, of screenshots, photos, documentation of my affair laid out like a legal case. But here's what Michael's little revenge portfolio didn't include: context. The loneliness of being someone's entire world, the pressure of perfection, the way his neediness made me feel like I was drowning. He documented my mistakes, but not the suffocation that drove me to make them. And then the final twist of the knife. After showing me the evidence, after making me feel like the world's worst person, my mother admitted the truth. She'd slept with him. My own mother. The woman who'd held me while I cried about my relationship had fucked my fiancé as some sick revenge. 3 days, she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. He was here for 3 days, and I fucked him in every room of this house. The house where you grew up. The bed where your father used to fuck his whores. I threw up right there on her Persian rug. The violation, the betrayal, the sick symmetry of it all. She justified it as payback, for my father's cheating, for my cheating, as if I was responsible for the sins of everyone who'd ever betrayed her. "He was so eager," she continued, twisting the knife. "So desperate to hurt you the way you hurt him, but also so attentive. He did things your father never did, made me feel things I haven't felt in years. I left that night and haven't spoken to her since. The woman who raised me, who was supposed to protect me, had conspired with my ex to destroy me in the most intimate way possible. Michael got his revenge. He got to be the victim, the poor betrayed fiancé everyone felt sorry for. He got to start fresh in a new city with a clear conscience while I was left to pick up the pieces. He even got the sick satisfaction of turning my own mother into his accomplice. But here's what he'll never understand. I cheated because his love was suffocating, not because I'm evil. I sought connection because he turned me into an object of worship instead of a partner. I hid the truth because his fragile ego couldn't handle anything less than perfection. Now Brandon and I are together openly. He's divorced, I'm free, and you know what? It's everything a relationship should be. He doesn't need me to be perfect. He doesn't track my location or plan elaborate dates to prove his love. He doesn't worship me or put me on a pedestal. He just loves me, flawed, imperfect, human me. We laugh about my cooking disasters. We fight about stupid things and make up without him spiraling into anxiety that I'm leaving. We have separate friends, separate interests, separate lives that complement each other instead of consuming each other. Michael will find another woman to put on a pedestal, another goddess to worship until she too crumbles under the weight of his neediness. He'll love-bomb her with attention, make her his entire world, then act shocked when she seeks actual partnership elsewhere. He'll never see his role in what happened, never understand that loving someone means seeing them as human, not divine. He thinks he won with his elaborate revenge, but all he did was prove what I already knew. His love was never about me. It was about him, his needs, his image of the perfect relationship. When I failed to live up to his fantasy, he didn't just leave. He tried to destroy me. That's not love, that's ownership. And I'm glad to be free, even if freedom came at the cost of everything I thought I was building. The saddest part? I did love him once. Before the pedestals and the neediness and the suffocation. Before he turned me into a character in his romance novel instead of a real person with real flaws. But you can't love someone who won't let you be human. So yes, I cheated. Yes, I lied. Yes, I hurt him. But he hurt me too, every day, with his relentless need for me to be perfect. The only difference is my pain was invisible while his got sympathy. I'm not proud of how things ended. But I'm not sorry for seeking something real when all Michael offered was worship. Sometimes the person who loves you most is the one who sees you least clearly. And sometimes the cruelest revenge is making everyone believe you were the victim.